So, hey, y'all, hey, and welcome to another session of Meditations with Marigny. So, today is, you guys know I said sometimes I put the dates out there so people will know when they listen to the video, like whether it's a month or a year or whenever it pops up in their thread. Today is Monday, the November the 17th, 2025. So I wanted to hop on and have a conversation, and I actually started the video a little bit earlier because this one might be a little bit longer because of the topic that we're going to talk about, and I wanted to give myself enough time to be able to discuss it. So one of the things that I wanted to talk about this morning is the difference between standards and preferences. The difference between a standard and a preference. And, we hear people talk all the time about, sorry, y'all. We hear people talk all the time about what their standards are. My standard is this, and I'll do this, and my standard is this, and he has to have this, or she has to have that. That's their quote unquote, their standard. There's a difference between a standard and a preference. And I wanted to, just based upon a conversation with a friend, I want to give some clarity to what my thought process and opinion is about standards versus preferences. So a standard is a guiding force. It is a guideline that you use for your life. And this, again, is just my personal opinion. So, take it with a grain of salt. If you can use the information in the video, use it. If you can't, or if you disagree with it, slide or swipe or whatever y'all do. Swipe to the right, move it to the left, keep it moving. You don't have to agree with it. It's just my opinion. So a standard is going to be something that is a guiding principle, or it is going to be a measuring mechanism that you use in your life for your life, in your lifestyle. It is going to be something that typically has a level of a conviction to it, or some type of association with how you live your life, why you live your life that way. So for instance, you guys know that my videos, a lot of them are talking about walking in abstinence and assuring that you are, I don't know what's going on with this car, y'all. They on the expressway, they're going like 20 miles an hour. That guiding principle is going to be something that gives you a guideline. So for me, my standards, most of my standards are associated from, or they come from, my spiritual beliefs. They come from the guiding principles that I am associating myself with according to the Word of God. And so I can't really say that I have any standards that are outside of what my biblical principles are. So the majority of them are connected there. I can associate my standards back with my guiding principles of my spiritual beliefs. And I'm saying that because I also have some preferences. I have preferences that in this dating process, I may want him to have a certain career path. I may have a preference that I want him to perhaps be a certain height. I may have a preference that I want him to be a certain size. I may have a preference that I like for his physical features to look a certain way. I may have a preference that I want him to live a certain lifestyle because I live a certain lifestyle. Those are preferences, but it's not a deal breaker for me. You guys know I did a video a little while back talking about non-negotiables. My non-negotiables are mostly attached to my standards. And those standards are things that typically I'm not going to waive on those. I have seen in my own life where I have made adjustments to things that were my standards, and eventually I had a problem with them. And in this process, I have decided that that's not something that I'm going to negotiate on. So also in this process, what that also did for me is I have a very realistic mindset that the average man is not going to talk to me. He's not going to work with me. He's not going to deal with me because he's not going to be willing to meet my standard. And again, my standards are not associated with money. They're not associated with size. Read between the lines. They're not associated with what he drives. They're not associated with what he lives in. They are associated with my biblical principles, my spiritual beliefs. And, when it comes to the one of walking in abstinence, that one in itself, it takes away 90% of the guys that are out there. So then you put me in the pool with the 10% that is left, and that 10% then is going to be what you have to work with. And oftentimes it'll boil down to like 1%. So if I had 100 guys, out of 100, if I met 10 that were within the percentage range, out of those 10, maybe one of them might be someone that would be compatible with me. For most people, that could become a very discouraging process in the dating process. For me, it is exactly what I expected and anticipated. And then once you get down to that 1%, you're going to have to look at now what things, we got the same standards, we got the same expectations, we have those same components and mindsets. Now, let's look at our preferences and see what can we negotiate out of this process that's going to be something that we feel is going to be viable for both of us. And then based upon those things, what about our lifestyles and what about the expectations that we have and how we want to live and what we want to do as far as life and living and driving and all of those things. Because all that stuff, in my opinion, like the way that I view things, whatever husband that I end up with, whoever ends up being my husband, he can have whatever he wants in life. Because if we're together, first of all, I know we're going to have the mindset for both of us to go get it. But if we're together, we're going to be able to accomplish whatever it is that we want. There's not going to be any lack, nothing lacking, nothing missing, nothing broken. So for us, when we come together, if one can put 1,000, two can put 10,000. What I can say is that I know for sure that it's going to be nothing but upward mobility. And when you look at life from that lens and you know what you bring to the table for your partner, I think in many ways, and y'all, somebody got put out, we're going to see more and more of that. In many ways, part of the challenge is that people are vetting people and dating people for what they can get from them, not what they can give. If you look at your partnership for what you can give, what do I bring to the table to make sure that his life is going to be better? What do I bring to the table to make sure that her life is going to be better? How can I increase what he already has? You guys, I did a video a while back. If he already has a house, he already has an apartment, he already has a car, he already has a job. As a woman, when you come into his life, what can you do to increase what he already has in motion? What can you do to increase what he already is purposed to do? If he already knows his purpose, he understands what he's walking in, he knows what direction he wants to go in. How can you then fit into that puzzle and help him to fulfill that dream? And that's the component that so many people are missing. When it comes to your standards, make sure that your standards aligns with his purpose. Make sure that your standard aligns with his God-given gifts, the things that he is supposed to fulfill in the earth. And that is when you're going to find marriages and relationships that are going to be successful. Somewhere in the process, we got away from that. And yes, I do understand that if we go back and we look at it historically, most women married for some level of security. But if you really, really look at those components too, people married for love. They married for the companionship. They didn't marry for the material things that we have now set out to do. And that is why so many marriages are falling apart, because people are not marrying for the people. They are marrying for the stuff. And when you marry for stuff, you're going to get just that, because you have nothing to cause you to be attached to that person. You got to have a deeper depth. I know that I got to be giddy for the dude that I'm going to be with. And when I say dude, I don't mean that in a bad way, y'all. But like he got to make me laugh. He got to have he got to be a serious kind of guy too, because he's going to need that to lead me. Like I'm a natural leader, which means he has to be one. He might not have all the leadership skill sets that I have, but when we come together, then we're going to have it. Because guess what? What I got, he got. Even if it's from behind the scenes. You guys that follow me on a regular, I talked about my father and my mother. My dad could not read and write, but you never would have known that dude couldn't read and write. You couldn't know it when he was out in front of people. Those of us that knew his circle, his brothers, his sisters, his family members, his nieces and things like that, they knew it. His children, yes, we knew it. But general people didn't know that, because my mother made sure that she filled that place for him. So even though there was a lack in his life, you never would have known it, because she filled that gap. And that's the way that marriage and relationships should be. Same thing for her. My mama didn't think about if a tire went flat on her car. That wasn't it. That never crossed her mind. She never thought about that. That was not something that she even thought about. It didn't cross her mind to say that I'm going to go out here and change a tire. It never crossed her mind to say I'm going out here to change the oil in my car, look to see if it's no, because my father filled that place. And in a conversation that my brother and I had about what expectations I have in this dating process, he said the only thing you knew to judge that by was what you saw from daddy and me. So you thought that every man brought those components to the table because that's what you had been exposed to. That's how your uncles are. That's how your aunties lived. And so the visual that I had and the experience as a child was quite different. So when we talk about our standards, my standards are high from a biblical standpoint, but my preferences are pretty low, if the truth be told, because my preference is going to be driven by what my standard actually is. That's good. My preference is not going to be driven by what somebody could do monetarily for me. And when you change your preferences, so it's different when we're saying I prefer this burger space. I was finna call the actual name. I prefer this burger place over this burger place. Or I prefer a milkshake over a soda. Or I prefer, French fries over tater tots. That's different. Those are preferences. But does that mean that you can't eat French fries? Does it mean that, because French fries and tater tots, they all potatoes. They just made differently. And when it comes down to how people are vetting people for relationships now, we have mixed standards with preferences. And unfortunately, that's where we have the downfall in life. Because most people are not going to be able to meet our preference unless we have open enough communication that we are able to talk about the things that are a concern of us. And I'll be honest with you, fellas, if she's a woman that is into you, she should hear what you say. Ladies, if he's a man that really has an interest in you, he should hear what you say. You should say certain things and he should automatically calculate that in his head. he should automatically capture that and put it in his bank as a savings. He's dropping it in his savings so that in the future he can actually cash that in. He's going to hear when you say that you love natural flowers and you have them, you buy them for yourself. He's going to hear that. And at some point, he's going to eventually buy some for you. I don't even know if guys even bring flowers on dates anymore? Do men even do that anymore? Like, do they think that women even like that? Because we do. Do men even think that that is an honorable thing, or that's something that she is drawn to? I wonder whether or not that's a lost art, whether or not that's something that even boys have been shown to do. I try to show my boys to do that even now, because it's important that they know the little things mean a lot. So I want to just make sure that you guys know, and I want to just give us something to think about. Are our standards the same as, or are they different from preferences? In my opinion, they're different. You guys jump in the comments, give me some feedback. Let me know what you think. Let me know your thoughts about that, and whether or not you think that your standards are different from your preferences, or do you think that they are one and the same? All right, y'all have a good day, and we'll talk later. Bye.